politics. You weren't here when, that faction of the PDP said that they want Goodluck Jonathan to run. And, I'd like to read an open letter from the lawyer and activist Deji Adeyanju, publicly telling former President Goodluck Jonathan not to run for office. And I'll read that lengthy letter. He wrote, "I write to you as a well-wisher and someone who has long admired your leadership style and your commitment to democratic values. It is precisely from that place of respect that I feel compelled to say candidly that the growing conversations around your intended return to active presidential politics are worrying. Nigeria's current political climate is already fragile, and the PDP platform you're being linked with appears increasingly unstable and divided. As someone with your global standing and the respect you continue to command both at home and abroad, I worry that subjecting yourself to the roughness of another electoral contest at this moment may not serve your legacy well, even beyond questions of outcome. The process itself risks unnecessary controversy that could unintentionally diminish the statesman-like stature you have already earned. For those reasons, I sincerely hope you will consider stepping away from any such ambition and continue to serve in the higher role of an elder statesman on the continent whose influence is felt through guidance and wisdom rather than electoral contest." Everybody has a say in this matter. The lawyer has, except the man, but we are calling. I want to know. He needs to, it's more than what? It's more than 2 days now. It was over the weekend when this. We want the president to either debunk the story or come out with his full chest. Full chest.
Suspense movie. When they said that he wants to come out with a bang.
Yeah.
We're giving us all this suspense, and I'm like, what is this a movie?
No, it's not a movie, but we want to see. I want to know. I think Deji made a very good point that the fact that he's.
When Keyamo advised the president as well, and they came for him that, how dare you? Who are you to advise? And Mr. Adeyanju is doing the same, but we want to hear from President Goodluck Jonathan.
Yes. All right, the 2027 political movie continues. Coming soon. Now we're under milestones. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the
welcome back to our political channel. Deji Adeyanju just wrote a letter, an open letter rather, to the former governor, and the letter is on to former President Goodluck Jonathan not to contest the 2027 presidential election, and that the letter is essentially a political and reputational argument rather than a legal one. You see, the main argument, Adeyanju argument, is that Adeyanju's central message is Jonathan has more to lose than gain by returning to partisan politics. He argued that Jonathan's post-presidency reputation as a statesman, election observer, and a Democrat could be damaged by entering a highly divisive presidential contest. Key points in the letter: 1. Protecting Jonathan's legacy. Adeyanju praises Jonathan's conduct after the 2015 election, especially his acceptance of defeat and peaceful transfer of power. He suggests that this act elevated Jonathan's status nationally and internationally. Returning to contest another election will expose him to political attacks and controversies that might diminish that legacy. 2. Nigeria's political environment is highly polarized. The letter portrays the current political climate as fragile and deeply divided. Adeyanju believes that even a respected figure like Jonathan would be drawn into bitter political battles if he became a candidate. 3. Concerns about the PDP. Adeyanju specifically notes that the People's Democratic Party is facing internal divisions and instability. His argument is that contesting on such a platform will create additional political risk for Jonathan. 4. Elder statesman versus politician. A major theme is that Jonathan's influence may now be greater as an elder statesman than as an active politician. Adeyanju encourages him to continue offering guidance and leadership from outside electoral politics. Let's look at the strengths of the letter. It appeals to legacy rather than partisan interest. It acknowledges Jonathan's achievement before offering criticism. It focuses on long-term reputation instead of electoral calculations. It recognizes Jonathan's intentional standing since leaving office. The weaknesses of the argument is that it assumes Jonathan's legacy will necessarily be harmed by running again. That outcome is debatable. It gives little attention to whether Jonathan could actually offer solutions to Nigeria's current challenges. It treats electoral participation as potentially damaging, whereas some will argue that seeking office is a legitimate democratic right. It largely evaluates the issue from a reputational perspective rather than a governance perspective. So the political interpretation will be that the letter can be interpreted as a warning that, one, Jonathan's reputation today is stronger than it was when he left office in 2015. The risk of a 2027 campaign may outweigh the benefits. Jonathan should preserve his status as a respected national figure rather than re-enter the political arena. So the assessment is that letter is less about whether Jonathan can legally or politically win an election and more about whether another presidential bid will enhance or diminish the historical legacy he has built over the past decade. So my opinion is that Adeyanju's argument is persuasive if your primary concern is Jonathan's legacy, but less persuasive if your primary concern is Nigeria's leadership options. On the legacy question, he has a strong point. One reason former President Goodluck Jonathan is viewed more favorably today than when he left office is his concession in 2015 and his relatively non-partisan rule after war. Former leaders often gain stature when they stay above day-to-day political battles. A new presidential campaign will inevitably subject him to renewed scrutiny over issues from his administration, potentially affecting how history remembers him. However, I think the letter has a weakness. It focuses heavily on protecting Jonathan's reputation and less on whether it could actually help solve Nigeria's current problems. In a democracy, the more important question is usually not will this affect his legacy, but he will be the best candidate for the job. There's also a philosophical issue. If a former president believes he can contribute and is constitutionally eligible, some will argue that preserving a personal legacy should not outweigh the public right to choose among qualified candidates. So I will summarize it in this way. Strong argument. A return to partisan politics could put Jonathan's post-presidency reputation at risk. The weak argument, it does not fully address whether Jonathan's leadership is beneficial or necessary for Nigeria. So, most convincing point is that legacy is easier to preserve than to rebuild. And least convincing point is the assumption that running for office will automatically tarnish that legacy. Ultimately, whether Jonathan should run depends less on protecting his image and more on whether he offers a compelling vision, has the capacity to govern effectively, and can persuade Nigerians that he is the best person to lead the country at this moment. What is your take from this open letter to the former president, Jonathan Goodluck? Let's share our comment at our comment section, and let us also subscribe to our channel. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.